great application for the zero play guide bar system is making runners for small sleds and jigs that ride on the table saw. For example, here's a jig that I use really often. It's a cradle jig for cutting slots for spline miter joints, which are splines that reinforce a case miter, which needs reinforcement because it's kind of a weak joint in and of itself. The nice thing about spline miter joints is that you can make them out of contrasting wood, as you see here in this jewelry box. You glue them in place, cut them flush, and you've got a really nice look and a very strong joint. So I make this cradle jig for cutting the slots. Now the jig itself is pretty simply made. It's a panel basically that has these zero play guide bars attached to it. After you've adjusted the guide bars and installed them, as is explained elsewhere, you can see that there's no play at all in the jig, which ensures a nice clean slot. That's very important. Other than that, the jig is pretty simply made. It's just a couple pieces of half-inch plywood set at 45 degrees to each other, creating a 90-degree angle for carrying the box corner down across the blade. There's also a blade guard block here. Now, to prevent the blade from cutting entirely through the block, we use the zero play stop in the track at the point right after the slot has passed the blade. That's where we set up our zero play stop. So to use the jig, you just cut your miters, glue your case miters all together, then you cut your slots by placing the box in its appropriate spot and feeding it across the blade until it hits the zero play stop. Now if you're doing a bunch of evenly spaced spline slots like this, what I do is I set up a stop once I've determined my distance from the end. I just set up a stop here and feed the workpiece across. After I've passed the blade, take the box out, move to the next corner. Same thing, quick and easy. Once I've done that all the way around, turn the box around, do all the slots. When I'm done, I make my little triangular shaped spline slots, splines rather, so that they fit snugly into the slots. Glue them in place, then trim them with a chisel and a sharp block plane. So I end up with these decorative, very strong joints.